The following is a special presentation of CMH28. Hello everyone, I'm Keith Casebolt and welcome into the studios of CMH28, and I want to welcome my friend Erik Hubbard from Backroads of Appalachia. Erik, let's get started. Where did you come up with the idea of Backroads of Appalachia?
A long time ago on a motorcycle in the middle of Idaho.
So that's a little far away from Appalachia. Yeah.
So I took a trip, a lifelong trip with my father. We was able to take my vacation when I worked full-time on the railroad, and we did a 3-week trip, the Backroads of America. Never hit the interstate, never hit a major 4-lane, and I was able to go to the 101. And one thing I started noticing on this trip is some towns was thriving, and some towns, just like back home, were dying. And the interstate, of course, took away that major traffic in the new updates, what's going on for government, which is all wonderful things, but what about the little man? What about the small business? We pulled in a little town in Idaho, and it was just booming. It was 150 miles away from the interstate, but they had niches everywhere. Tourist destination. And, we spent a couple of days exploring that cool little town, resting, just taking in what it was. And I was like, we have towns, we have better roads, we have all the opportunities that we can get people tired, thirsty, and hungry, get them out in their wonderful curvy mountain roads, and land them in our little communities, support them. And that's when the ideal on that trip, what can I call it? What can we be? How will this all work? And it started from that ideal. It started with some personal money of mine. And a magistrate by the name of Paul Browning in Harlan County, Kentucky, that I was able to have a conversation with, and we took off with it.
But I love this story because just like you, I've done the same thing. I've traveled to the Black Hills, I've gone through Sturgis, and I'm sitting there saying, in Appalachia, we've got, the Breaks Interstate Park, we've got, the beautiful mountains of Harlan County, the Blue Ridge Parkway. We've got all of the other things that there is out west and in the Smokies. We've just never promoted it. So tell me about when the light bulb went off and said, wait a minute, I'm going to take my life and dedicate it to promoting this.
And I'm glad you said that, and people don't understand the dedication it takes to start something and figure it out. But one thing beforehand, when I first started this, I started reaching out, learning. I went to a SOAR conference on my own time. I took vacation to go. And I'm like, there's opportunities everywhere for what I want to do. And, that conversation with SOAR and other organizations throughout got me where I needed to be mindset-wise, how to communicate properly. I met some wonderful people that got me connected with our state government, then our federal government. And one thing I've learned is that, government is not there to hurt or harm or say no to the coal mining family son. The coal mining family son or daughter's got to have a plan of action, a business model, and be able to formulate in conversation writing to be able to put your vision on paper and make it happen and come to fruition. Let's talk about SOAR and Congressman Hal Rogers for a moment, because we're in the CMH28 studios, and the idea for this actually came from a SOAR conference where our congressman said the state of Kentucky gets $10 billion in tourism, but someone's going to have to tell me why Appalachian Eastern Kentucky gets less than 5%. And that's when the light bulb went off. We've got all of these fantastic things in the trails and like you're talking about, but yet we're not bringing in the tourism. So one thing with that on Congressman Rogers, I'm a fan of Congressman Rogers. Before I even got into this kind of spectrum, my granny, she was at Christmas time every year, she got a Christmas card. And of course she lined it up by who they were. Yeah. Well, Jesus was here. Congressman Rogers' photo was right here. And my sister actually made a shirt for that. And I've talked to Congressman Rogers multiple times to tell him the story. It says Jesus and Hal Rogers, but what that man has done to fight for our people from the downturn of coal, not on a political side or nothing like that. We don't have champions like that every day. And I respect people like that that's a champion for a region.
Congressman Rogers is a legend, and his inspiration is why you and I both are here. Tell me about when you first got into this. Did you come up against any kind of resistance of, here's Erik Hubbard that's going to start this program?
Yeah, of course, my beard, always been a right off the bat. I still have that biker kind of feel. What people don't understand is that I am a veteran that's had many scarring, so I wear my beard to hide my scars from my neck. For my service time, but that's the reason why. But you know, perception's always number one. Of course, I've throughout the years learned how to better be myself and better political talk and leave some things out, you know. But my biggest battle was empirical data. You know, we started with a trademark of the Dragon Slayer Highway 160, Lynch, Kentucky. I'm not from there. I'm from the other side of the mountain, but Lynch, Kentucky, when I was growing up as a boy, had sidewalks. What did people do on a Saturday? They walked the sidewalks. So we would go over there and just have conversations with, you know, guys and girls. And it was something that I'll never forget. And now you went to Lynch, Kentucky, which I love riding Highway 160 all the time, and I'd bring people in here. But we went from that to now what's the population of Lynch, Kentucky? It's a town that built America. And, you know, that's where I headquartered there and where we started fighting for the Tri-Cities area and making it a destinational experience, because that town, from the U.S. Steel Corporation, they built, from 1930s on, 47 nationalities, lived in harmony. Wow. And was recruited there to work in harmony. So you had different nationalities, different colors, and they was able to get along. The world today can learn a lot from Lynch, Kentucky.
Amen to that.
But they also, besides the Industrial Revolution, what they was able to develop, they won 2 world wars for us. That coal went to make the steel in Alcoa, Tennessee, to make the bombs and the weapons for us to go and win our world wars. And for that town to be forgotten, it's like a lot of our towns, by our federal government, because coal's gone. It's time to re-identify, and as I call it, Phoenix. And one thing I take great pride in from our startup there, we was able, through COVID, with no help from nobody, because we couldn't prove empirical data, we was able to survive and go to where we're at now, which we still have a long way to go. But an ideal and a vision from an old country boy, an old Appalachian, working a full-time job on the railroad. Let's fast forward 5 years where I'm now going and meeting with congressmen, senators, legislators, organizers, and most importantly, our communities, to try to figure out ways to bring economic change to them.
So we'll get to your first event in just a second, but I want to talk about the perception, because I love talking to you, because you've got a passion, just as I hear about it for Lynch and for the trails and everything. Why is it that in our area we don't see the value that other people see when they come here? Because I've had guests that's come in here and said, oh my God, this place is gorgeous. You have so much to offer. And I guess it's because we take it for granted that we live here. But you saw this as an economic advantage to say people will want to come here. They will want to do this ride. So tell me about the first ever event you organized.
The first ever event through our organization was with the Wilderness Trail Porsche Car Club of America. We opened up a set of public highways that we named the Appalachian Autobahn. We encourage people to come and drive in a spirited lifestyle. Speed limit is 55 mile an hour on these curvy mountain roads. Most people and most cars cannot maintain 55 miles per hour in between what we call the mustard and the mayonnaise. Stay in your lane. Don't pass, but you got to stay in your lane. And if you cross over, in the car world, you're gone. You're not safe. You're not part of our clique and our club no more. You need to practice and get better if you want to stay with us. But when they came, we had our first news article, first TV showing of our organization. And they end up throughout Cumberland, Kentucky, eating at restaurants, had a car show, had them feeling, you know, they started feeling like a royalty. Red carpet. We had 60 Porsches and a couple Ferraris here, and it was all about the kids coming, and that's where my inception of these road rallies and what we do. We want our kids, the excitement for them to sit in that $300,000 Porsche GT3 And that person allowing the kids to sit there and blow the horn and look at it, what do you think they was telling them? Not how to, unfortunately, when you're phrased and not get in trouble for this, but that's where my political stuff is not, how to get on the system and stay on the system and get by.
Yeah. They
were telling them, listen to your mom and dad, stay in school, work hard. You could have something like this one day.
Yeah, so here's successful people that are wanting to come here and play. So to everybody watching this video right now, you've probably been on the highway and you've had that long line of Corvettes go by you.
I'm sorry, by the way.
Or Fiats or the Porsches or Mini Coopers, the Lamborghinis, and all of us have said, oh my goodness, what's going on? That's Backroads Appalachia, and you're introducing the region to people all across the country.
I actually had on the way to Prestonsburg from Jackson County, Kentucky today, I had 4 phone calls and Zoom conferences with other organizers from around the United States planning their trips to Eastern Kentucky. And each person that comes, and we want to break it down to an economic formula, they spend the night. It's a $256 impact of every community they touch. We multiply it by 7 times because the money that they bring in of 150 people staying for 3 days, and you multiply it by 7 because that money will be changed out. New money coming in will be changed out to you and I and whoever's watching 7 times before it leaves and goes to Lexington, Knoxville, Pigeon Forge, and that's how you get your economic formulas. We was able last year, thanks to the state of Kentucky and our legislators and the Appalachian Regional Commission, our concept went to full-blown flourishing for the first time. We went from year 2022 to bringing $9 million into Eastern Kentucky because we had limited funds, limited access. To me now as a full-time executive director, and last year's was funds, we was able to bring in $42.5 million. We was able to bring in 44,000 visitors, and this year is going to be double that. But what I really see most importantly when I have these conversations with these groups that come into our region, not Tennessee, here, they think, especially Southern people, we thought Southern hospitality was something. We have never seen people so nice and kind and willing to do anything they can to help us like Appalachian people. And that's their culture. That's their benefit that costs $0 as their culture and community to grow what we do. And word of mouth is marketing. It's still the best kind of marketing.
Absolutely. Let's go back to this money. So you started out, you started bringing in, you had to be very pleased with the initial event and then looking at the economic impact. And by losing a lot of our coal jobs and losing population, what this money is doing is it's forcing communities to look at more restaurants. It's forcing communities to look at more hotels because they're coming. They've got to have a place to stay. They've got to have a place to eat. And that in turn brings back the population. So it becomes a win-win-win situation.
Well, even more than that, you know, when we first started with the car groups, one thing I started learning and got friends with Economic Development Cabinet, and also our local One East and, you know, SOAR and others that kind of gave me tips and points. I started being able to understand in a different realm, what's your business? What do you do in Florida? What do you do in Connecticut? What can you do here? What if we have a workforce ready to go? We can mine coal. We can do all this. You can't have a workforce in Connecticut. If you do, your workforce is ungodly expensive and they don't want to work. You can make more money here. You can do your business and product here. It still can be shipped out across the country. And that workforce development kind of initiative of our organization started where I'm proud to say that we have 2 major corporations now investing in Eastern Kentucky. And it all came from a car and some talks.
See, I love the concept. So you've got 30 people coming in here in $300,000 cars. They're riding through the region. They discover that they love the region. And then, because Erik Hubbard's not afraid to ask, you ask, so what do you guys do for a living? And when they tell you about their businesses, now you're recruiting and saying, what a great place to bring your business and maybe even buy a home.
Yep, and that's exactly what's happening. We've had last time I checked, we had 24 homes purchased in the past 5 years. 17 of them was Airbnbs now. Yeah. And they can rent them out when they are not here. They can come in, visit. They've built garages, what they call car condos, where they leave their cars here now. We have people flying their cars into Lexington, Kentucky now, and then driving them here but the car comes with them where they land and bring the car in. And that, again, is change.
You know, I noticed one thing when we started this conversation. You said I was having trouble because I basically didn't have the data. I didn't have the information. Yep. But boy, you have the data now, and you've got it down to the penny, don't you?
Learning every day. You know, but if, again, all this, and this is where I really believe Eastern Kentucky will dominate, and they're dominating now if you look at the big spectrum. We're starting to work together. We're not used to the high school rivalry, the Irish, the Scottish, and the Clanish.
The Hatfield-McCoy.
Yeah, the Hatfield-McCoy.
Yeah.
If you work together and you put your initiative against somebody else's initiative and figure out a way to parallel and work, just like US 23, Country Music Highway, we started using your all's route as an app, as a gateway. Get out, we can get you into Eastern Kentucky the quickest way here. Once you're here, you can pick and choose to go wherever you want to go. But you come back to US 23 or Hal Rogers Parkway or the Mountain Parkway to go to your next destination. When we first started this, Eastern Kentucky was a one-day pass-through for motorsport tourism. Now it's a 3-day. So you think about the economics in 5 years of all these people coming and they're spending 3 days, 3 nights in Eastern Kentucky. That means the money is staying here.
Yeah, and I love the road rally because it's the perfect example of working together, because if it starts in Harlan and they travel to Ashland, or they go to Hazard, or they're in Williamson for the Hatfield-McCoy Trail, wherever they go, they're spending the money, they're buying gasoline, they're buying food, they're staying in hotels. It's an economic development for the entire region. Yeah, it's a great example.
And that's what we're doing for road rallies, and what we're doing is catering to them. What are you looking for? I would like to go on an ATV ride, me and my group. Well, I can find ATV rental companies inside our region that you can coordinate for not a discounted price. It's going to cost you $5,500 for your group to come and rent these side-by-sides. By the way, we're going to have a guide. We're going to have someone on top of the mountain catering you. We're going to have steak around a fireplace and maybe a mason jar or something. But it's that experience. It's giving people experience. One thing I've learned, including myself when I lived in Tennessee for all them years, everybody craves one thing in life still, Mayberry. You know,
I watch it every night.
Yeah. If Eastern Kentucky is by far, and not in a negative way when I say this, Mayberry. Every community has that. And like last night late, there's 3 old men sitting on the bench at 9 o'clock at night, whittling. You know, and that automatically my face went from a frown to a smile. Mayberry. Yeah. You know, and that's why I want to continue doing what we're doing. And Pigeon Forge is amazing. Nothing against Pigeon Forge. Me personally, I don't want Pigeon Forge. I want Cosby, Tennessee. I want the other side, where you still have your culture, your way of life, but you have traffic coming.
Yeah, I like the trail ride you're talking about with the ATV, because you've got the Hatfield-McCoy Trail. Now you've got the Hillbilly Trail in Pike County. You've got the Harlan Trails that's going. So you can make a 3, 4, 5 day event and spend all that time here. So after you got the road rally going, when did the light bulb go off to you? Said, wait a minute, we've got ATVs, we've got hill climbs, we've got other, because you've really expanded what Backroad Appalachia is doing.
Well, nothing I can say more than it was dumb luck and God. You know, but our name, our organization started being saw in public eye, and not from our local people, but from national. We connected with something called SEMA in the performance racing industry, which people understand about motorsport racing is a $68 billion industry inside the United States of America. We're the first organization that's ever put community first, racing second kind of mentality in what we do. And we started getting calls from sanctioning bodies. Our first event we was able to do was through the Sports Car Club of America in Pine Mountain State Resort Park in Bell County, called the Pine Mountain Hill Climb. We had 121 cars registered. Their purpose in life is 1 car at a time, every minute interval. They get both lanes. We shut down the road. We sold out the state park, the resort. Pineville's booming, Millsboro's booming. And they get to run anything from their Porsche to an old 1970s NASCAR up that mountain as fast as possible. And they're timed on it, and they don't win no prize money. They're spending all this money, but it's all about bragging rights for them to either become the king or the queen of the hill for the year.
You do get a trophy.
You get a trophy.
Okay, good.
You know, from that first event, we now have created with the SCCA on that side of hill climb, the Appalachian Hill Climb Series. But, you know, that has grown. From that hill climb, we're now the official sanctioning body of the American Rally Association. I'm the guy in our organizations, the people that can put on the top tier rally car racing, which is gravel, good gravel roads. We got any around Eastern Kentucky?
I think we got several.
Yeah. So we pick these roads and we start and we have rally car racing, which is these rally car drivers, a lot of them are sponsored by Subaru, Toyota, Ford, and they're able to come in with their teams and race. But most importantly, what the racing has caused now is I get phone calls all the time. I got factory teams and teams that they need 6-8 miles of gravel road to bring their engineers from around the world, 38 from Subaru the past month in Martin County. 38 people flew in from around the world to come into Eastern Kentucky for 6-mile gravel road and spent 4 days with us testing and making the new Subaru rally cars faster.
So the need for what we've got is being driven by outside people coming in, tourists, because they see the product we have.
Well, and the thing is, I've always looked at everybody, including myself for years, the downturn of coal is such a negative, bad thing. Yeah. The downturn of coal and their assets for what we use, all the strip jobs and things of that, is now natural resources that we can do events like this on with the right, you know, insurance sanctioned body, safety plans, traffic patterns, that we're able to create opportunities and invites. What now that has led to is I had our first rally team that they are out of Argentina. They are now moving to Eastern Kentucky.
Wow.
They need a building and a 3 to 4 mile section of road where they can build their rally cars, test them, and sell them so they can go get another one and build a new one. We're 500 miles away from 2/3 of the population, right here.
Yeah.
That's not New York, that's here.
So the people that are coming here, the auto clubs, the manufacturers, they're getting it. Have you seen a change now that you've got the data, you've got some success from the communities, from the local officials, from tourism, that they're saying, hey, Mr. Hubbard, this Backroad Appalachia deal, you know, you got something going here?
We've had a lot of wonderful things happen with our county governments, work a lot with our physical courts of all counties. We have wonderful setups now. And, you know, with our legislators, which was the next tier up, I take great pride in saying that we was able to take a bill out of West Virginia that I'm able to legally shut down a state highway and race on. But from the 1960s in Kentucky, you're not allowed to do that. I can use a county road, I can use a city road, and that's what we've always done in Kentucky, was be able to work with our local government. Now House Bill 29 that has passed, the floodgates will open in a safe, proper manner, but we will be able to utilize state access, low residential to non-residential roads to do races on. And what that means to the general public, I'm not asking for a $90 million racetrack that's going to be used 3 times a year. Yeah. I have racetracks in every county now that we can use and promote, provide the people coming in, and the counties can profit, make money, or local businesses, which becomes a tax base, which becomes, you know, back to the county, back to the state, and starting changing Eastern Kentucky, you know, in a positive manner. I always hear horses and bourbon. There's nothing wrong with horses and bourbon, but now we have horsepower added to that. And I take pride in knowing that I'm a small part of bringing something economically done by sanctioning bodies that has the right environmental specifications on the cars. Everything we do is by the book. These motorsport events that we're now doing is wonderful economic BAMs. Here you go for your weekend. This is your big push for your community. The motorcycle world is a totally different kind of economics. It's what we call trickle tourism. You got a group of 3 to 7 people on their Harleys, on their Indians, their Hondas, or whatever. They're coming in and they're on a daily thing. It's not one weekend. Every day through a season of April to October, they're in their communities and they're spending their dollars. What makes Kentucky winning on the motorcycle world, do you think? What's the number one thing besides our beautiful, twisty, good paved roads? What's the other thing?
Well, you know, you and I talked about this, and the fall foliage is so beautiful, but, you know, that would be what I would say is the sights.
Yep, the sights, you know, and this is something that I have to give Appalachian Wireless props for with, you know, one thing I get a lot of complaints about on our mobile app, which our mobile app now, you can work without cell phone service, but people of AT&T, Cricket, and all them, they are not having the ability to find all these secret hiding spots while they're here, while the people with Verizon are you being able to utilize that. And everybody asks me all the time, why is that? Why does my phone work but my friends don't? And I have to explain Appalachian Wireless, and it gives that opportunity. So I think that's really neat. But motorcycles, when you see them, you know, most of these motorcyclists these days are not biker gangs, and that's what people got to understand. The average income of a person with a motorcycle is $72,000 a year, minimum. Yeah. You know, they wear a suit and tie or a dress shirt, and they might look different while they're out here in their motorcycle because Eastern Kentucky is motorcycling. What does Eastern Kentucky stand for? Freedom. So freedom of expression, freedom of who they are. So, you know, these guys that wear these suits and ties for the first time, they as little see their sunburn, they're showing that 1985 tattoo they got in college. But if people feel free, they feel welcome, they're going to spend more money.
Erik, I love it. You're changing the culture, you're changing the perception, and you're changing the economics, all in Appalachia. Before we leave, give them your website, your phone number, and let them know how to get your app.
Backroads of Appalachia.org, our website. We, of course, have Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and all that younger stuff I don't understand. But, you know, my phone number is 423-293-1712. I am one of them guys who would rather have a face-to-face conversation, learn your needs and wants, and what we're able to do provide. This year we have 187 events scheduled throughout our region of Eastern Kentucky. And we are now up to Ashland, all the way to Grayson, towards Winchester, all through, of course, the US 23, over into Harlan County, Letcher County, Leslie County, and we're here to assist and help and, you know, grow this to something that can be a very dominant factor for Eastern Kentucky. Our county governments give us some funds per year that pays for the web and the mobile maintenance app, all the cost of that. But we're able to provide a service for free of charge that its purpose is to get people tired, thirsty, and hungry. Or as my good friend Mr. Tony Tackett says, we want people to heads to beds, food to mouth, and lips to sip. If we got them three things, that we can be successfully in tourism, and that mobile application has become a driver. But it's Backroads of Appalachia on Google Play or Apple, and totally free. And tell your friends, and, you know, let's download it and continue to grow that. But we're averaging about 6,000 downloads a month on that mobile application.
Let's see if we can't.
Let's up it.
Hey, thank you for being here, my friend. Erik Hubbard from Backroads Appalachia. I'm Keith Casebolt. Thanks for watching the CMH23 production.